Well, when it comes to the topic of immigration, I think it's safe to say that the next 4 years are going to be anything but boring. My name is Chad Graham with the law firm of Graham Adair. In this video, we're going to explore the topic of changes to immigration from things that are likely to happen in the next few weeks, all the way to things that could possibly happen on a broader scale through legislative changes. Then candidate Donald Trump made a number of campaign promises on changes that he plans to make to immigration. So we'll talk about that. We'll also look at his first term as president and some of the changes that were made there to anticipate common themes that are likely to happen during his next presidency as well. As you may recall, during his first term, we saw a number of changes that included things like the travel ban, wherein people from certain countries were not allowed to come into the United States. We saw an increase in deportations, as well as the building of the border wall. But I think where we should start is the topic that's been a major part of the national discourse over the past few weeks, and that is deportations. Donald Trump has talked about wanting to create the largest domestic deportation operation in American history. Now, you may be wondering how this could be possible with Customs and Border Protection agents already stretched to their limit. Well, he's talked about doing this in a couple of ways. One would be to deputize local law enforcement officers so that they can carry out federal law and detain individuals that they come across in the course of their duties. The question remains, will local law enforcement cooperate with that type of a program? The other thing he's talked about is potentially declaring a national emergency, wherein he would be able to use military personnel to help with the deportation process as well. Now, he's talked about starting with individuals who have a criminal history and making sure that those people are identified and put into deportation proceedings first, but then after that, casting a wider net to find other individuals who are in the United States without documentation. Another thing that he's talked about is continuing the building of the border wall. During his first presidency, more than 400 miles of that wall were completed. The US-Mexico border is almost 2,000 miles, so there's obviously a lot more that would need to be done on that border wall, although there are some sections of the border that already have fencing in place. Now, Trump's platform is not only limited to focusing on undocumented migrants in the United States, but also looking at legal pathways into the United States. In the family-based realm, one of the areas that he has criticized in the past is the law wherein babies born in the United States automatically receive US citizenship, regardless of the citizenship of their parents. Another thing he's talked about within the employment-based realm is potentially switching to a merit-based system used by many European countries, wherein points are awarded for certain things that are seen as being more important, such as higher levels of education, certain fields of study, more years of experience, especially in certain areas, and certain skill sets that are in the national interest of the United States. And so individuals receiving more points would be prioritized to meet any limits like the H-1B cap ahead of individuals who have fewer points. Another area to be looking at is the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, or DACA, often called the DREAM Act. This is the scenario wherein people who are children come into the United States, often with their families, and don't realize that they're in the United States undocumented. And at some point they get older and realize they can't get a job or something like that. And then they're sort of stuck. So during the Obama administration, this rule was created to allow those individuals to remain in the United States. They're not technically in a legal status, but it's a deferred action. They're able to stay here and apply for work authorization. Now, during Trump's first term, he wanted to remove the DREAM Act, but it was protected through a number of court rulings. But those protections are temporary because it's not law. It's still open to potential legal challenges. Also, during Trump's first presidency, there was a reduction in the number of refugees coming into the United States and additional obstacles placed in the pathway of those applying for asylum. One of those, you may remember, is the Remain in Mexico policy, wherein people coming through the southern border of the United States to apply for asylum were required to remain in Mexico while their applications were being reviewed, instead of being allowed to enter the United States during that review process. Now, going back to employment-based immigration, we talked about the merit-based change that could be made. Now, that would require legislative action, and so something like that would be more likely to happen down the road. But the question is, what things could happen right away through executive order? Well, we saw a lot of those things during Trump's first presidency, and those things included a higher level of scrutiny and government challenges on applications, higher level of denials, and an increase in processing times. Now, we've been through this before and we've helped our clients navigate that successfully, by anticipating those longer processing times, being able to anticipate what government challenges might be made to ensure that their approval rates remain high and RFE rates remain low. So what I would recommend at this point is that companies and individuals review their immigration situation. Companies look at their immigration policies to determine whether any changes should be made right now, considering the changes that are likely to happen, especially right away, and also to be aware of things that could be happening and changes that may need to be discussed in the future, and to prepare for those things to reduce the impact to your immigration program and your employees who are going through the process. I expect that there are a lot of questions out there. We're going to provide our contact information in the notes below. We encourage you to reach out with any questions. Again, make sure that you're subscribed. We're going to be providing updates as they come. This is going to be an interesting topic and evolving as we go along. Thanks for sticking with me to the end, and we'll see you next time.